I think we'll have to use Councillor Wallace's microphone again. Wait for a red light.
It's all right, it's on.
He's on.
Yeah.
Just, it's on now.
It's on. It's nerve-wracking as it is without that.
Sorry.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. First of all, I want to thank a couple of councillors, Councillor Ian Gillis and Councillor Mason, for meeting me after the last meeting. It was very helpful. So thank you. I'm really here once again to highlight some of the issues that we have within our city, partly public safety. Taxi licensing department are not currently responding adequately, as is felt by the trade and also the operators, due to heavy workload which has mounted from complaints from the trade. And as such, trade feels that the department needs a review to determine its future and how it should function. Most of the trade inquiries are being passed to Public Protection Department within the council, or simply ignored. So here I am. Often the trade is faced with difficult and challenging conditions that cause hardship and lead to being out of business. The Taxi Licence Department do not have a proactive method in communicating with the trade, and we would like to suggest that there should be a member from the trade on the relevant council panel to advise and to seek consultation. Currently, as you're all aware, due to Deregulation Act and cross-border working, it's allowed various private hire vehicles and taxis from all over the country as far as London to work in our city. And it materialised over the last few weeks that they are actually illegally touting, overcharging our customers. The individuals are causing chaos with our customers, i.e. having fights, having language barriers. So there's fears over public safety due to unlicensed vehicles. These issues have been reported to the council. Unfortunately, the answer that we're getting back is that we have no enforcement. So with that in mind, we have zero enforcement. All we're forced to do is take videos, take photos, and actually highlight it to the council department, and then highlight it to the enforcement department, which is public protection. And I think they have limited resources. So enforcement must be put into place, and the city must be policed. Further, the enforcement team must understand and have knowledge of the legal operations, such as insurance and fronting of insurance policies. Currently, I believe no checks are being carried out by the police either, as their knowledge is very limited. All private hire operators, as per the current licence policy, have to have, for example, an office, number of spaces, and a landline telephone number. Currently, we have a company. Sorry.
30 seconds.
Currently, we have Uber. They don't have any of those that I've just mentioned. We really do require an enforcement team to work with the trade. Unless we get that, we have a serious chaos within our city. And currently, Uber drivers are applying illegally in our city and touting.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Dunn. Your comments are noted. I would like to call upon our third speaker, Alan Rowley, a local resident who would like to speak in relation to the regulation of taxis.
All right, well, I've been told I have rather a big mouth, so I may not need the microphone, but we'll go with it. On Saturday, September the 15th, a colleague and I put on high visibility jackets and spent 4 hours between midnight and 4 a.m. marshalling taxi ranks and wandering round our beautiful city of York. We witnessed 30 out-of-town cars cruising around, spewing out exhaust, polluting and adding to an already over-polluted city with an air quality that leaves a lot to be desired. Most of these cars were acting illegally. Private hire vehicles illegally parked on hackney carriage ranks, illegally plying for hire, often uninsured and in general not behaving in a professional manner. York drivers behaving like this would be written to and hauled in. Out-of-towners are ignored by the powers that be. The bad news is that on the run-up to Halloween, there will be 100 of them. And at Christmas, there will be 200 of them. Who are they? Uber. Why are they here? Because the Gambling, Licensing and Regulatory Committee of the City of York Council amended the licensing conditions to let them in. Harrogate Council refused to alter their conditions, thereby preventing Uber from operating there. They understood the problems that such a company bring with them. Problems like drivers from out of town with no local knowledge, driving vehicles that do not meet the conditions that the same committee insist that York drivers must adhere to. The good news is there is an answer. The same Gambling, Licensing and Regulatory Committee who allowed these people in have the power to change the condition back and prevent them from being here. Before you say that it's too late and cannot be done, I understand that the City of Bath is at present preparing to implement this procedure. Apart from the citizens of York, we have a population of more than 20,000 students, all young people who enjoy the nighttime entertainment that a thriving city like York is able to offer.
30 seconds.
Safe transport home for them is just as important as it is for anyone else. Imagine how a young girl alone in a car with an out-of-town driver going back to her residence, the way to which she knows well, and the driver departs in the direction that she knows to be wrong. Panic, fear, terror. It's impossible to imagine. As parents, we surely would not want our own child, or indeed anyone else's child, to be in this position. City of York Council insists that all York drivers undergo a rigid knowledge test, yet they allow out-of-town drivers to come in and do whatever they like.
Mr. Rowley.
Before they renew their licence in December, please fix something that wasn't broken in the first place.
Thank you for your comments. They are noted. I call upon our fourth speaker, Anthony Green, a York licensed hackney carriage driver who would like to speak in relation to private hire operators' licences.
Good evening, ladies
3
and
minutes.
gentlemen. First time public speaker, so forgive me. I'm self-employed, I'm a small businessman and my business is a taxi. I've fulfilled all the requirements York City Council stipulate in order to operate as a York taxi driver. My vehicle is regularly inspected and is licensed by York City Council, and I've paid all the fees due in order to work in York. That's not just me, there are about 800 small businesses in this city. All men and women in York, all adhering to the same high standards and paying fees and taxes. So imagine our concern when on the night of the 9th of September, Uber launched their ride-sharing app in York. There had been rumours for some time, but it came out of the blue. As that night wore on and the subsequent weeks that have followed, I've been absolutely staggered at the number of private hire vehicles from outside of York that have turned up. Vehicles from Leeds, Kirklees, Wakefield, Huddersfield, Bradford, Rossendale, Manchester, Birmingham and latterly London, amongst others. None of these cars or their drivers are registered in York, no fees paid to York City Council, and judging by their conduct, no regard for rules. So even though taxi licensing knew the date this was starting, possibly had an inkling of what might happen on the night in terms of numbers of cars that might come to the city, there was no enforcement out, not a person. These cars are picking up from taxi ranks, stopping when hailed and blatantly touting for work, because according to some of their drivers in conversation, Uber told them they can. There are so many public safety issues it's difficult to know where to start. There are issues with insurance when operating outside your licensed area, driver checks, vehicle checks, illegal pickups, the list goes on. There are no controls and there are no limits placed on their numbers. That's more concerning to me. It's been left to us to collect evidence of wrongdoing. Taxi licensing's lack of understanding of a situation they helped to create is unbelievable. If a company in York with 800 employees was under threat, what would this council do to support that business? We just want a level playing field, that's all we want. So my question to you, councillors, is this. Why was the decision made to relax the rules regarding the issuing of private hire operators' licences?
30 seconds.
How was that decision reached? By who? And what research was carried out to assess the impact on public safety and existing taxi trade? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Your comments are noted. I'll now call upon our fifth and final speaker, Brian Watson, a local resident who would like to speak about the community stadium, a matter directly related to the city.